Welcome back. You may never go diving, you may never see a coral reef in person underwater, but their existence is important to everyone here in Florida. Our next guests are both experts in oceanography, Dr. Hayward Matthews and Dr. Monica Laura. Thank you both for being with us. Why are our oceans so important?
Number one, because it covers about 3/4 of the Earth's surface. But number two, then, it has a major impact on really every thing we do. It affects our weather, it affects our food, just about everything we have around all depends upon the ocean.
Even if you never stick your big toe in any ocean in the world, that water is still important to you?
Still important to us, yeah.
Okay. What made you go into oceanography and teaching sciences?
I think my family was an influence, just kind of without even thinking about it. They were really into science and space and, you know, oceans. We used to go to Baja and spend the summers there in the oceans. And so when I started in college, I really didn't know what I wanted to be. And I went home and asked my mom, I said, you know, I don't know what to do. And she said, how about taking some science classes? I think you'll like them. And
you did.
And I did, and that was it, yeah.
And Dr. Matthews, for you, did you grow up here?
I was born in Orlando,
Okay.
so I spent most of my time around the water and began diving at a very early age. And then actually started off going to vet school and then realized that I didn't want to spend all the time in a laboratory situation. So instead I went into oceanography, and so I've been in that now for 46 years.
46 years, and you're a professor at St. P. College.
St. P. College, yeah. This is my 46th year there.
And you've retired from college, you've gone back as an adjunct professor.
Right.
And you started, what I'm most interested in is your Reef Watch system. Tell us about Reef Monitoring Incorporated.
Well, back in '05, we had a real bad red tide kill off Pinellas County. Killed a lot of the marine life, killed some of our reefs. And so I had a graduate student at USF who was looking for a project. So he and I then went out to try to monitor the reef's recovery after the kill. We found a problem was, though, that we didn't really know exactly what was there before the kill. So it was kind of hard to tell exactly when the recovery had occurred. And so based on that a group of us there at St. Pete College some faculty and some of the former students formed then a nonprofit corporation we call Reef Monitoring Incorporated. And we began then training sport divers to go out and do monitoring on the reefs, to count the fish, to count the invertebrates, things of that sort. And the idea was then, number one, we could go ahead then and have the baseline data so if we did get another spill or another kill. But also then we found that once the students were out there we were noticing some things on the bottom that really caused a problem. And one thing we were finding was there was a large amount of debris out there then, and a lot of this debris was crab trap ropes. And crab trap ropes last almost forever in seawater and can pose a hazard. And matter of fact, Winter the dolphin, that's famous now then from the movies lost her tail to crab trap rope. So based on that in our observations, we started organizing some reef cleanups where we would get there
and this debris collects in the reef system, right?
Builds up in the system
Okay.
and not only can dolphins get entangled in it, marine birds, various turtles can get entangled in the rope and die from it. And so we organized a series of cleanups. The last couple of them, we had over 100 scuba divers going out on a Saturday morning on their own time and cleaning up, and both times we had somewhere around 1,300 or 1,400 pounds of old crab trap ropes, along with some beer cans and bottles and things of that sort through on the bottom of that. So it's really turned out quite effective.
Wow. Why are reefs so important to the ocean itself?
They are really the basis for a lot of the organisms in the ecosystems. And so from the very bottom, the plankton and the algae, up to the fish and the fish that people are interested in, both observing when they're scuba diving and eating, basically. Also the mammals that come through, and the birds are feeding on the products of those reefs. And so the entire thing is part of the ecosystem that we've been listening to about wetlands to reefs. And so it's where the adults go. The reefs and the seagrasses and the mangroves serve as nurseries, and then the adults aggregate on the reefs, and they'll be spawning aggregation sites and things like that for the larger fish as well. So they're all part of the whole system, and they are where the larger fish go to feed and live out their life and reproduce.
Just like we were talking about earlier with the oysters, it allows a place for the small animals to go and start living, and those attract larger animals underwater.
Exactly.
And it all kind of works together, even with the seagrass that we were talking about.
One of the studies we just started recently was going out to the artificial reefs and actually taking samples of the bottom. And whereas a lot of time we've done a lot of research on what's on the artificial reef, but now we're finding that just the shell debris, oyster shells and other shells falling off on the bottom, are creating a microenvironment there then on the bottom. So now we've got students going out and sampling this debris on the bottom and finding out that a host of marine life, microscopic in many cases, are living in this debris. So the artificial reef not only is attracting fish, but it's actually changing the environment, and a lot of the marine life then are living down in the shell debris. Normally you think, okay, that's just junk on the bottom,
right.
But it turns out a lot of things are living in it that then provide fish food. So we've got quite a few students now, or got a research project going, and a lot of our students then are getting hands-on research, even though they're undergraduates, by collecting the samples, analyzing them, and putting it together, and then presenting it in papers to the public.
Dr. Matthews, have we recovered from the oil spill?
We never really got these. Look, we were fortunate. The loop current that normally would have brought the oil to us within a matter of a few weeks went into actually a circle, and so we never actually got any of the direct effect of the oil. Now, the place that did get it are going to be having problems for a long time, but we were very fortunate that none of the oil reached us there then. Again, just because a freak thing, the loop current there then went into a circle instead of bringing it down to us. Had it not happened, it would have gone right straight down our beaches, on down in the Keys, and probably even around in the Atlantic.
It could have been horrible.
Could have been horrible.
Much worse
and
than
the
it
problem
already
is that it can happen any time, and so that's why it's so important for us to get a handle on what's out there now, because if something should happen, we won't know what we've lost. We don't know what has been there. So
I keep reading more and more about flesh-eating bacteria in our water. Should we be concerned about this, and what's causing it?
I think bacteria, there are always bacteria in the system. We have to realize it's part of the system. The problem is that when it becomes in numbers that are too high, there's always small amounts of it, and so it's not harmful. When you get a concentration of the bacteria, and then you have people who are possibly compromised, then it becomes a problem. And so it could be because of a lot of different things. One of the things is bacteria are eating something, and so if there's extra food, which is what we know is pollution, then you have these blooms of bacteria, and we don't know what the point source is of the pollution, but it probably is an indication of extra food for them, which is pollution.
And that brings us full circle in the show. As we heard from Kurt in the beginning, all the garbage he's picked up, the folks with Tampa Bay Watch, they're trying to prevent pollution, and you guys are monitoring and seeing how it is affecting our waters. So it goes all back to the individual, the one person, to make a change and not pollute our waters and to be more aware.
Yeah.
Thank you both for your expertise. We appreciate you being here, and thank you for starting Reef Monitoring Incorporated. And I understand, sir, you started the Clearwater Marine Aquarium as well. So
yeah, back in the 70s.
A few years ago. Thank you both. We appreciate what you do for our waters here in Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.